Let's talk just a little bit about Hideo Kojima. For those of you who don't know him, he is the guy who has been working on the Metal Gear series for a really long time. Recently, and I'm really only seeing, I don't know if I'm seeing one side of it, but basically the internet's side of it, the what it seems like from the outside is that he's been treated pretty terribly by Konami. Just a couple of examples. When Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, which is getting fantastic reviews, he was the head dude on Metal Gear Solid 5. They took his name off it, which is kind of weird because, they had his name on there originally, and then they took it off. I guess he was fighting a lot with the bigwigs at Konami about his budget. But I've not heard anything from anybody. That's just what, the hubbub is out there on the internet. There's also rumors that recently at the Game Awards this year, he was not allowed to attend by Konami. So, it's not looking like they're treating him too well. Anyway, that's beside the point. Apparently, he's finally left the company. Now, this is according to Japanese publication. It's a business publication, Nikkei. And the translation might not be perfect. I don't read Japanese. But somebody on NeoGAF translated it. And basically, the translation that I've read says this. Hideo Kojima, a famous video game creator known for the Metal Gear series, has left Konami Digital Entertainment as of December 15th. That's today. And he will form a new company where he will continue developing video games with plans to release on platforms such as Sony Computer Entertainment, PlayStation 4. He is forming the new company with people who worked under him at Konami. The rights to the Metal Gear series, for which he is mostly known, remain at Konami, so he will begin working on a new title. Final negotiations with Sony Computer Entertainment are underway for his new game to debut on PlayStation. All right, so I read that, and my first thoughts are, all right, he's not going to be working on a new Metal Gear, but that doesn't mean that he won't be working. Whoops, I bumped something. But that doesn't mean that he won't be working on a new Metal Gear. So let me explain, because that's kind of a contradiction in terms here. He could make another game that's very, very similar to Metal Gear, just with a new name. This is not a new thing. This has happened before. Look at the creator of Mega Man, Inafune. He left Capcom. The Mega Man rights remained with the company, and then he turned around and made Mighty Number 9. I think that was that Inafune kickstarted that Mighty Number 9, and which is, by all accounts, it's another Mega Man game. He just had to be careful about the colors to avoid copyright infringement. And then we've got Castlevania. Not creator. He didn't create the game, but he worked on some Castlevania games, some of the best ones, a guy named Koji Igarashi. And when he left Konami, of course, again, he's not the creator of Castlevania, so those rights stayed with the company. And he ended up going on and kickstarting another game called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is hilarious because even the name of it is very similar to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is what Igarashi is most famous for. It's pretty much another Castlevania game. At least that's what it seems like to me. So don't despair. Kojima may not be working on more Metal Gear games, but that doesn't mean he won't be able to make some good games. My question is, how is he actually going to continue? The translation seems to leave a few things up in the air. Is he going to be working for Sony, or will he be an independent that publishes with Sony? That's the question. And that seems to be the big question on everyone's mind, and this is for good reason, because depending on the answer, that's going to determine whether or not his next game is a PS4 exclusive, or PS5 exclusive. This guy really usually does take a long time to put out a game. So will the next game be an exclusive? First off, I hope not. I hate exclusives. I don't have a PS4. I don't have an Xbox One. If I bought one of those two, I would probably end up buying a PS4 instead of an Xbox One. But I prefer to game on my PC. That's where I like to play my games. So I don't want exclusives because that means that it's not going to be on a PC. He did, however, if you look back at the translation at the very end, where does it go there? It says final negotiations with SCE, that's Sony Computer Entertainment, are underway for this new game to debut on PlayStation. So that doesn't mean that it's going to be exclusive to PlayStation, and it doesn't mean that he's working for them. It just means he's working with them, and I'm perfectly fine with him working with them, debuting it on PlayStation, and then porting it to PC and Xbox One. So I think that would be best. If he is working at Sony, like if he is actually going to be a Sony employee, you betcha that this game is only going to be on Sony platforms. And really, that kind of sucks for me and anyone who doesn't have a PS4. I mean, I totally understand why Sony and Xbox want to do exclusives, and same with Nintendo. I understand why they do exclusives. It sells consoles. That's all there is to it. Exclusives sell consoles. But I just hope that it isn't going... I hope that he isn't working directly for Sony, because that means that I won't be able to play the game unless I buy a PS4, which I don't really want to spend the money on right now. Now, let's imagine for a second that he isn't working directly for Sony. Okay? Let's say that he decided to be an independent. There's a problem with that, too. But think about it. This guy is used to having a massive, massive budget behind him. He's used to having almost unlimited money. Metal Gear Solid 5 had a budget in excess of $80 million. That is bananas. That's crazy to have a budget that big. Now, I know that Kickstarter's pretty big, and I just talked about, I just talked about Inafune, as well as Igarashi. Both of those guys went to Kickstarter to get their money for whatever game that they wanted to make. I know that Kickstarter's big, and it's kind of a hot deal right now, but I don't see him raising that much money. I'm sure he'd raise a lot. If he put his name on a Kickstarter, it would raise lots of money. But it wouldn't raise $80 million, I don't think. At least that's what I think. I don't think people aren't going to spend that much money on an undelivered product. I say that knowing full well that there's, what is it, Elite Dangerous? It's not Elite Dangerous. There's a space-based game that's raised like ridiculous amounts of money on Kickstarter. But that's also like you're buying the ships, and some of the ships cost hundreds of dollars. And I honestly think that game is going to be a disaster when it finally does come out. But if he went to Kickstarter, I'm not saying that it's impossible for him to raise that much money, but I don't think he will. So what does that mean? Well, it means that unless he gets a major backer, his next game is going to have to be a very different animal than the Metal Gear series. It's going to have to be a much smaller scope. He's not going to be able to spend nearly as much time on it. And that's where this guy really shines. Hideo Kojima really shines when you give him buckets of money and lots of time. Now, people say that Metal Gear Solid 5 is a fantastic achievement that, of course, if it were up to Konami, he wouldn't be getting any credit for. But we know who was behind that game. And I know it's not just him, it's also his team. But it looks like he's bringing his team with him. And that's great. So he's bringing his team with him. He's got the pedigree. He's got the minds that worked with him to make a fantastic game. Now we just got to see, where's that money coming from? Because if it's coming from Kickstarter, then it's going to have to be a smaller game. And I don't know if that team can do something on a smaller scale. If it's coming from Sony, then it's going to be an exclusive. So there's pros and cons both ways that we're going here. Again, according to translated text, I'm not sure why translating Japanese is so hard, but apparently it is. That's what the guy who translated it on NeoGAF said. Personally, even though I said that I don't like exclusives, I personally think it's best for everyone if he's got Sony hoisting him up. I mean, I probably wouldn't get to play his next game if that's the case, but given the budgets he's used to, I can see his next project just spiraling out of control without dollar signs to back it up. So I guess my question for you is, do you want him to go independent and work on something smaller? Or would you prefer if he got picked up by a big name like Sony that can throw buckets of money at him the way he's used to? Anyway, let me know.